Hi everyone, I'm Tim Green. I'm the features editor of the Mobile Ecosystem Forum, and I'm delighted to introduce you to this MEF Connects LATAM session. The title is Business Messaging, What's Happening Now, What's Coming Next? It's presented by Syniverse and MEF. And over the next half hour, I'll be joined by Vinicius Cerqueira. He's the Director of Sales and Partnerships at Latin America for Syniverse. Now, the reason I'm hosting this session is that last year I edited an ebook with MEF and Syniverse, which was the future of messaging. And I'm now working on a 2021 version, which will be published in a few weeks. And in the ebook, we look at the evolution of business messaging, the rise of OTT formats. We look at rich messaging, bots, message-based commerce, message-based advertising, and more. And of course, what makes all of this possible is CPass. And that's what Vinicius will focus on in this session. And so with that, I'll hand you over to Vinicius for the presentation and remind you to ask questions at any time. Thank you very much.
Hey, Tim. Thanks for the introduction. Very happy to be here talking to such a nice audience. Today, as you mentioned, we're going to be talking about the relevance of CPass for the future of messaging, right? But first, before we start talking about it, let me just give a brief introduction about Syniverse to show who we are. Syniverse is a global technology company, right? We have been around for around 30 years. We started our journey serving mainly mobile operators around the world. We help these operators to build like a global network, and of course, based on the experience that we built together with these operators, we started developing other services that we could take to the market. One of the services was SMS, a global SMS, global messaging. So we have been providing these kind of services for quite a long time. We have been we have been leading the evolution of messaging. And basically, Syniverse today serves companies from basically every country in the world, right? We're always focused on four main pillars. Quality, we always focus on delivering high quality services. Security, our network, our platforms are very secure. Reach, as I said before, we reach companies basically from every single country in the world. And innovations, right? As I mentioned before, we started with SMS, but we evolved to have a communication, a CPass platform, right? This is something that I'm going to be focusing on now. As you said, the 2021 Math Guide is coming soon. One of the most important pieces, or one of the most important parts of this guide, is going to be the importance of CPass, right? How a CPass can help enterprises to follow this evolution of messaging, especially now that conversational commerce is so important. It allows brands to communicate with its customers through a centralized point of contact, right? So I'm gonna try to avoid any spoilers of the guide, but I know that we are all quite anxious to see the 2021 version. If anyone wants to have like a copy in Portuguese of the 2020 version, please reach out to me. Happy to share with you guys. So what is CPass? CPass stands for Communication Platform as a Service. It's a cloud-based platform that allows enterprises to integrate communication channels, applications, systems with its to communicate with its customers, right? It has several layers of solutions that can be used. And today we are gonna talk about some of these layers, some of the aspects that are very important, and why a CPass is so appealing. because we're seeing the evolution of the ecosystem, right, of engagement, the number of systems that brands have to use in order to engage with their customers. So a CPass allows integrations with very few development, very low level of development, with very simple integrations. CPass are very flexible, they are modular, so the brands, the enterprise don't need to consume all the services at once. They can select, pick and choose which features they want to use. So this results in very fast deployment, right? We're going to talk about some examples that we have that brands integrate real fast. And this is something today that we know that time to market is always very relevant, right? So as I mentioned before, some enterprises, they have legacy systems, right? We're talking about companies that are already using some sort of communication with their customers, evolving from email, SMS, with new communication channels, but many times they send communications from different systems. You have, let me give the example of a bank. A bank sends promotions to their credit card users, for example, but they also send notifications. Whenever there is a purchase, they notify the customer that the customer made a purchase. There's the customer care channel, right? The customers can reach out to a bank asking for information, but also the bank can reach out to the client to get some clarification on some operation. There's the fraud and security, and our colleagues in the previous presentation just mentioned that here in Brazil, unfortunately, we are very creative. Well, it's good that we are very creative, but our fraudsters are also very creative. So companies have fraud prevention systems in place, right? So they can monitor transactions, and it's important to have fraud prevention systems integrated with your CPass, so you can use data from that you can collect from the CPass, but also that you can notify a customer in case there's some kind of fraud attempt with their accounts. And there's, of course, collections. There are many other systems, just as an example, to see that it's very important for enterprises, for brands, to have like a centralized point of contact with their customers. And of course, a CPass can be used during different parts of the customer journey, right? It can be used for awareness, like sending promotions, discount alerts, new product releases, this kind of thing. It can be used for engagement. So you want to share like a discount coupon, a digital discount coupon. You can notify a customer if he abandoned a purchase right before payment. You can have live chat assistance. Right, you can do transactional messaging like customer authentication, fraud alerts, transaction alerts, confirmations, and so on. And you can also use to retain your customer. We have many loyalty companies that use very advanced engagement strategies with their customers that that require a communication platform to support this kind of engagement, right? So talking about the pillars of CPass, right? We have the integrations piece, and it's extremely important. When we talk about ecosystem, right, we're talking about the ecosystem of solutions that are going to allow brands, allow enterprises to communicate with their customers in a meaningful way. We always have new applications. We always have new communication channels, right? And a CPass helps brands, helps enterprises to remove this burden of having to do complicated integrations, internal deployments, and so on. This is all handled by a CPass. The second point is the identity. It's very important for brands to talk to the right person, to understand that they are talking to the right person. And this is important not only in terms of efficiency on the communication, but also to reduce cost and avoid fraud as well. We're going to talk about it in more details in a couple of slides. There's the importance of communication channels. Brands must engage with their customers in the way that they prefer. If they prefer to be contacted via WhatsApp, it's important to contact them via WhatsApp. If they want to, if they prefer to contact the brand via Google Business Messages, it must be the brands must allow these customers to engage with them via Google Business Messages. So this is also important, and a CPass must follow the evolution of communication channels. The fourth point is the security and compliance. We're talking here about sensitive data sometimes, right? A bank customer can ask for his bank statement via WhatsApp or via SMS. So you're sending sensitive data. So it's very important that the communication platform that an enterprise is using is able to provide all the necessary security features, or security certificates, and so on, to avoid any kind of problem with data handling. And of course, future-proof, right? We're talking about the evolution, how the messages are evolving, how the engagement with customers are evolving, from pure transactional to conversational commerce. So what is going to happen in the future? How enterprise must adapt in order to keep this pace. And it's something that, of course, having a CPass, it removes all the burden from the enterprises. So getting into more details about the APIs, the integration, it's very important to have open APIs, right? Developers can access the documentation, they can test, they can create applications easily and test these applications. So this is very important in terms of making brands feel comfortable to use a CPass. They have multiple systems that they have to integrate. So if a CPass has open APIs and flexible APIs, it's very important to facilitate these kind of integrations. So this is going to allow brands to have like a centralized point of control of what is being sent to a customer, right? So imagine a bank just identified a fraud attempt with the customer's credit card. Is it worth to send a promotional text message, a promotional RCS message saying yeah, upgrade your credit card? It's not the right moment, right? So if you have a centralized point of control, you have ways to orchestrate this kind of communication, right? And also, it's something very important that it allows you to separate your communication strategy from your application strategy. We see that some companies, they end up using the CRM providers as their sole communication platform, but this might prevent them from integrating other systems into these CRM. So if you handle it separately, it gives you more flexibility, right? And allows you to build more the optimal ecosystem of solutions. So another very relevant point is identity. We see that many times companies and here talking about plain SMS, right? They're sending their messages to their contact database, but their contact database is not very accurate. So they are wasting money contacting clients with incorrect information. Sometimes they are trying to send SMS to landlines. This can save money, right? And can also avoid brands to spend time in communications that are not going to be generating any kind of return to them. So another point that's very important here is in terms of identity is that there are some ways that you can identify if the person that you're reaching out to is actually the person you're trying to reach out. There are some mechanisms that the CPass providers can offer that you can check and get some kind of score back and say, yeah, this is 90% chance. There's a 90% chance that you're talking to the right person. And the third point is that again, going back to this creativity that we have here in our country, we know that the fraudsters here are very creative, unfortunately. So one of the ways that we have to reduce the amount of fraud, or to reduce the chance of fraud, is to identify, for example, if there's a SIM swap. So if there's a SIM swap, there's a chance that the customers, you can flag your system with this information and say, okay, my customer just replaced his SIM card and is trying to do a weird transaction. So all red flags raised, you can take a decision based on that. So this is the kind of thing that helps enterprises to better engage with their customers. Communication channels, right? Well, SMS is still very relevant. We're seeing SMS growing a lot. Not only more customers using, but also customers that were already using SMS for quite a long time, using it for new use cases. So it's not going away. It's still going to be there. But we are seeing a lot of customers also starting to do conversational messaging, right? And taking the opportunity to make money out of it, right? To generate business. So we have, for example, a Google Business Message. That's a very good example, where it's not an outgoing message, right? It's a client that is searching for some information, or that is brought to a brand's website through a digital ad or something like this, that it starts a conversation with the brand or with an enterprise. And this can lead to a sale. This can lead to generating recurrent engagement with these customers. So you can support this customer in a way that you're going to make money out of it, right? So this is extremely important. And this can be done with WhatsApp as well, right? The evolution to RCS business messaging. I'm personally a big fan of RCS. I'm anxious to see what our colleagues from the operators are going to talk about in the next presentation. What we hear is that this is a bit threatened by Apple's positioning to do not allow the use of RBM or RCS in their handsets. But we know that also as it was presented earlier, the Apple's the iPhone shares here in Brazil are market share is very low. So it has a very good potential, and we're going to talk about it a little later. But we and this is I don't want to give any spoil, but this is a very interesting part of the 2021 guide, math guide, that the evolution to 5G messaging can impact how RBM is going to evolve. So let's wait for it. Some very nice information coming around that as well. And we have WhatsApp. 98% of the Brazilians use WhatsApp, right? It's a very efficient engagement channel. It's a very it's a channel that people are used to use for many things, right? And now that WhatsApp is allowing more use cases, like the use of promotional messaging, very targeted promotional messaging, this might also increase a lot the use of WhatsApp. So I think this is something very relevant. And of course, as I said before, the customers, the brands need to engage with the customers through their preferred channels, right? So a communication platform must be ready to evolve with the communication channels. I don't know, TikTok might become a reality for business messaging. Who knows, right? So the part of security, it's very important because we're handling sensitive data, right? So we know that especially in financial institutions, they are very careful with how they handle their communications. So this is very important for a CPass to be secure, right? To have all the necessary certifications, go through all the necessary security audits, this kind of thing. And of course, be compliant, right? In Brazil, we have these LGPD, so it's important that the communication platform allows enterprises to handle all the compliance or the regulatory requirements. And future-proof. The ecosystem of business messaging is evolving. New applications, new communication channels, new ways of automating communication, orchestrating communication. So this is something that a CPass must be ready to support, right? In an easy way, and it's very important. Adoption of new communication channels. We started with SMS, and we're evolving RBM, WhatsApp, Google Business Messaging, Apple Business Chat. All these things must be ready to be consumed by enterprises if they feel like, right? And the evolution of messaging technology. The 5G auction in Brazil is about to happen. We expect to have it in the coming weeks. So operators are going to start building their 5G infrastructure. There are different flavors of messaging on 5G. So it would be basically an evolution from SMS to RCS. RCS would be the messaging technology of 5G, but there are different ways of getting it implemented. And again, we need to understand what's going to happen when operators launch 5G in terms of how Apple is going to handle the messages sent to iPhones. There are some ways of sending IoT messaging, so this is going to become more and more common. Equipment sending messages to customers, right? This can be plain text. This can be simplified texts. But there's also going to be the possibility to send rich messaging. And also there are going to be some capabilities to send personalized messages, but also there are going to be a feature that's going to allow brands to send very large blasts with a very good performance. So please check out the guide that's coming out soon, and we're going to be touching some important aspects of 5G messaging during this 2021 guide. So I want to invite you guys to check our CPass, the Syniverse CPass. Please access our portal, developer.syniverse.com. You can create a test account and test our APIs. It's very easy. You can do some tests of some communication channels that are available there. If you have any difficulty, please reach out to me. Happy to help you guys, or assign someone from our team here to help you guys doing these the test account creation and guiding on APIs usage. So thank you very much for the time today. It was a pleasure. Tim, getting back to you.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Vinicius. That was a great overview. We have about 5 minutes of questions now. We've had a few from the audience. Now, you did just mention TikTok in your presentation. Someone's picked up on that. And they've asked, at what point do you think users will embrace messaging from social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok?
I think this is, it's going to be an alternative, right? One of the key aspects of a strategy, of an enterprise strategy in terms of engagement with the customers, is to allow them to engage with them through their preferred channel. And this is why the CPass facilitates this, right? Because you don't have to keep deploying systems, deploying solutions per communication channel. You can simply use a communication platform as a service and have it as a centralized way of engaging with your customer with very similar APIs, what is actually a very good way of gaining time to market. Yeah,
I mean, we don't know if TikTok will be a communications channel. At the moment, it's a kind of a broadcast channel, isn't it? But you never know. Actually, running with that, so you've just described how the point about CPass is that you can add these extra channels, and it's not too difficult to do that. What about if going back to the basics? Could you just give us a sense of if a business is currently, let's say, sending one-way SMSs in bulk, and they want to move over to a more sophisticated CPass type platform? How long will that take, and what are the practical steps needed to do that?
Okay. Well, we have some examples of enterprises, actually partners, ISVs that we call, independent software vendors, that basically resell our CPass. And we did integrations with them. Of course, I'm talking about simple integrations, right? For two-way messaging in less than 3 minutes, right? Once the platform is ready for consumption, the integrations or the use of different communication channels is very easy. If you have a good developer, they can simply access the platform and integrate with their systems in a very, very easy way.
Okay. What about business models? That's often had in messaging circles. If you're sending bulk SMSs and you're sending per message, it's quite simple to understand the business model there. But when you get into rich messaging, two-way conversations that could have 5 messages in them, could have 50 messages in them, how do you see the business models evolving for message providers and for corporate accounts?
Yeah, this is a very interesting topic because we know that as messaging providers, we are between enterprises and for SMS, we're between enterprises and the operators, right? Operators, they have their own business model in terms of SMS, how they charge SMS. So this piece is very hard to change, right? Because the messages are charged on a per volume based. But once we start talking about OTTs, social messaging, this gives you more flexibility, right? You can, and this is something that we discussed a lot during the RCS brainstormings that we did at Syniverse. Revenue sharing is something that could be done. If you're incentivizing a customer to use the RCS channel as a way of gaining more business, and we trust that this is a very important channel, we can evaluate getting some success fees, right? This is not something that we have in place today, but something that we can definitely evaluate. And I think this is going to be a trend, right? I think this is going to be a trend.
Vinicius, sorry about that. Hey, it's James here. Hi. Thank you very much for everything so far. It's actually really, really good timing. Not that we lost Tim, but that we're about to end the session. So any concluding remark from what you've seen so far this year? Any changes this year in particular, actually, coming from the messaging side of things myself? What's been the key thing this year for you in the world of messaging?
Yeah, I think that what brands are more concerned about now is this integration piece, right? Understanding the ecosystem. They are more concerned on how they are going to take opportunities to have meaningful engagement with the customers and try to convert them, try to generate business with them in a meaningful way. So I think that this is getting more and more momentum, and I don't think this is going to change in the coming years.
No problem. We have Tim back. Okay, so 99% of messages around the world are small and medium-sized enterprises, and people seem to forget that. And today, only a tiny percentage of all these millions of companies actually send messaging. So everything we do, we've got to keep in mind these solutions have got to be simple and all-encompassing. So, Vinicius, thank you very much for joining us today.
It was a pleasure.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.